everybody, today is the first of two videos in which we're going to take a look and restore my two all-time favorite diecast cars. Should be a lot of fun. Don't go away. Hey everybody, it is Paul from Fat Guy Productions, coming to you as always from beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada. And yes indeed, today is the first of two videos. And in this first video, we're going to be talking about my second most favorite all-time casting of any diecast car ever made. We're going to talk about it, take a look at it, and restore it. So let's get right to it. The amazing split image designed by Ira Guilford, the great Ira Guilford. Boy, the beautiful colors, the futuristic styling. I mean, why wouldn't a young boy just love this car? It really was amazing. So, certainly, it has every right to be in my top two on just those facts alone. But there's far more to tell about this car and why it's my second favorite Hot Wheel of all time. You see, I didn't grow up in a family with a lot of money, and although we had a roof over our head and food on the table, it often wasn't the best roof or the best food, and there really wasn't a lot extra for fun things like Hot Wheels. So at recess in elementary school, I was lucky to go out and play with my friends and have maybe one or two Hot Wheels in my pocket. Well, we had a friend named Mark Clifford. We called him Egg, and Egg had this magical case of Hot Wheels. It was this big, giant case filled with all the very best Hot Wheels, and it was just a sight to behold for a young boy. But most of all, he had the split image, and I was just in love with that car. Okay, so, well, why does that make it special? It makes it special because a kid that young, Egg, always let me play with his split image. I can't remember a single time that we were out at recess running these cars through the dirt that Egg didn't let me use it. And that is just something that sticks with me, the kindness and generosity of a kid that young. It really hangs with me and makes this car number two and probably will never be supplanted. Okay, you saw that the car was pretty beat up. We used shielded drilling to go ahead and get it apart, and now I'm just doing a little work on the post to make sure that they'll be able to take the screws, and I'm going to go ahead and actually put the screws into the post, not only to make sure that everything is working properly, but also to protect the parts that I drilled out while I'm doing all the rest of the stuff that I have to do to this car. So honestly, as bad as the body is, the base is even worse, but I'm not going to sweat it because all of this can be fixed. So we have a crummy base, great interior. The glass, which just kind of friction fits onto the interior, is terrible. So that's probably going to need to be replaced. And this base is a real mess. And that's going to call for a trip to the garage for electro polishing and probably some zinc. If you've watched a lot of these videos from different people, you've seen some guys using caustic soda to strip the paint off their cars. So I decided to give it a try. So I've dropped the body into just a little bit of really super hot water, and I have my caustic soda here. And it's supposed to work really, really fast. But best of all, you know I'm kind of a sucker for a show. This should put on a really volatile show as I dump the caustic soda into this hot water. So that is really kind of what's motivating me to give this a try. It just looked like a lot of fun. So here we go. And wow. So much for the show. That was really anticlimactic. Not what I had expected. Okay, can you say epic failure? Yeah, that was totally not what I was hoping for. But wait, everybody uses 2 to 3 spoonfuls of the caustic soda, so we'll add another spoonful, and we should get our show. So, all right, just a little spoonful, pouring carefully. And yes, oh, I am wearing protective equipment like rubber gloves and eye protection, but apparently for no good reason. I was expecting a whole volatile show here that threatened to leap out of the jar and burn my face off, and I'm getting nothing. So screw it. Let's blow the house up. I'm just going straight and dumping this stuff in here and seeing if we can't get some kind of reaction, and nothing. All right, well, that was a dud. So after some quick research, I found that you're supposed to actually be using boiling water, and I'm not using boiling water, just super hot water. I don't see why that would make a difference, but maybe next time I'll try this and try it with boiling water. But as for now, no show. It was funner to watch the paint stripper eat the paint away than this was. This was really boring and didn't do anything for me. So all I can do is hope that it actually strips the paint off, which, looking down in there, I do see flecks of it, so at least maybe there's hope for that. Okay, so I pulled the body out of the caustic soda mix, washed it off, and scrubbed it down a little bit, and sure enough, all the paint came right off. That wasn't an issue, but it was a little bit disappointing in that I was expecting an almost volcanic kind of show, and instead I got just a couple of senior citizens rocking on the porch reading the newspaper. So it was really kind of a letdown. All right, so we're going to just hit the car up to even things up and remove last little flecks by using the brass bristle brush. Make sure that the car is kind of even out and get all the crumbs and stuff off of it. Okay, so we can go ahead and finalize things by using a little bit of 4-0 steel wool and some dental picks to scrape anything off out of seams and whatnot. And it's interesting to me that it looks like the caustic soda actually kind of oxidized the body of the car. It's very, very dark, and it's got this dark spot I thought was paint, but it's not. So this is definitely going to need a trip to the garage along with the base. Okay, so I brought everything down to the garage, and I've got my really ugly body that you can see here. And what we're going to do is we're going to start off by taking it and running it through a pass in the electropolisher to see if we can't make its pore appearance a little bit better before we head over to putting some zinc on it. So we'll just drop it in the electropolisher for about, I'd say 25 to 30 seconds, something like that. You don't want to go too long. Just to try and see if we can clean up some of this oxidation. Okay, so it's a long way from perfect, but I do believe the electropolisher helped kind of smooth this thing out a little bit. And so now it's time for a little bit of the zinc plating. And this is going to get a pretty healthy dose of zinc plating, at least one session of about 30 minutes in the zinc bath, and hopefully that will kind of fix this thing up. I can't begin to tell you how important electropolishing and zinc plating are if you're going to be restoring Hot Wheels and using Spectraflame paint, because it's crucial that you have a nice, even, shiny finish underneath the car. And sometimes you think you've got it right until you put the paint on, and then you realize that you don't when you start getting toning almost immediately. There are workarounds, as you've seen me do with the chrome paint and stuff, and they work pretty admirably. But honestly, this is your best choice, and it should be your first choice in my humble opinion. So we've got the split image out of the zinc, and you can see we've got that beautiful gray, almost like a primer kind of look to it. And that's just some residual on there, and it'll clean up really nicely. Okay, so after the zinc plating, we hit it with some 4.0 steel wool and gave it a nice even shine. And now we can go ahead and turn our attention to the paint. And yeah, I'm going to go back to the original root beer color. I think a good root beer finish is beautiful, and I think it's underappreciated. So we're going to stick with root beer. And here I am using some root beer paint from the Redline shops. And I'm going to mix up a nice batch, and we're going to shoot for a really nice, deep, sumptuous, chocolatey root beer color. So I take the paint and I mix in a few drops of the hardener and load up my airbrush, and we're just about ready to go. We've got the car polished, and we've wiped it down with a little alcohol, let that dry nice, and now we're just laying down the paint like I always do. We're going to start with the tack coat, then some medium coats, and then some nice final wet deep coats. Now, the thing with Spectraflame is it can really sneak up on you, and if you're shooting for a lighter version of the color, you got to go really easy. I don't have to worry about that so much here because I'm looking for a nice deep root beer color, so I can be pretty liberal with the paint. So with the paint looking great, I can go ahead and give it a couple good coats of clear coat with a little bit of hardener in it to give it that amazing glossy wet finish. And look at that. Isn't that just beautiful? All right. We can go ahead and set that to dry for quite a while. We don't want to put a fingerprint in it. And while we do, we can go ahead and turn our attention to the base. The base got some zinc, so it was treated with 4.0 steel wool and a couple passes with some flits and the rotary tool. And then I went ahead and used my alignment tool, and I kind of pre-aligned the axles and hubs before putting the wheels on. I think it just is a little bit better of a way to do it. And then after that's done, I can use the axle alignment tool as sort of a spacer. So when I put the wheels on, they're all on equally all the way around the car. So here I am just press fitting the wheels back onto the hubs. And then if there's any last minute alignment that needs to be done, then I'll go ahead and do that and make sure everything's straight. Okay, body's drying, base looks great. Let's get the windshield dipped into gauzy. You've seen me do this a bunch of times. I love the way it makes the windshields look, even if they're brand new, which this one is. It just really makes them sparkle. Now we can go ahead and take my replacement engine and we'll snap that in. It's just a little friction snap fit. And the chrome silver of that engine against that beautiful root beer color, it just is amazing. I love the look of this thing. Okay, so we're almost ready to go ahead and get this sucker back together. So let's go ahead and take the button head screws out of the car and get ready for final assembly. Okay, we've got the interior and our window glass, and like I said before, the window glass just kind of snaps onto the interior, and we previously cleaned up the interior. The window looks amazing from the gauzy. It's nice and dry. Body is ready to go. Base is ready to go. Let's put this sucker together. So the glass and interior just drop into the body as one unit. So we set that in to make sure it's seated properly. And that's looking good. And now we can go ahead and mate the base to the body. And I always start sweating bullets right about here because even though the clear coat is very durable and it's got hardener in it and everything, this would be the worst time in the world to damage your paint job. So I'm always very nervous right around here. But so far, no problems. The base is going on perfectly. Everything is lining great. And so all it's going to take now is get out my Allen wrench and my button head screw. I've got one for the front, one for the back, and we can screw this car together. And other than a little bit of detail painting on the back, we're going to be able to call this car just about done. Okay, so it's looking great, but I just need to take care of the tail lights. I don't figure the red is going to show up great on this root beer brown, so I'm going to start by painting them silver, and then I'll come back over them with some Tamiya transparent red. And then that should wrap it up. And here is the finished product. Tell me what's not to love about that, and tell me that this brown is not underappreciated as a color, because I think the whole thing is pretty spectacular. I hope you liked it too. Okay, so there you have it. The split image. What is not to love about this car? Seriously. This thing is just magical. And man, if this didn't captivate your tiny little mind when you were a young kid playing with these things out in the dirt, I don't know what will. Anyhow, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, click subscribe, click the little bell, you'll be notified anytime I release a new video. If you have any questions or comments, make sure you ask them down below. I love to talk with you guys. And all of those things are really, really important to me. So please, don't just skip over it. It takes 2 seconds, and I really am grateful when you do it. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. This is Paul from Fat Guy Productions, wishing you a very cool, Hot Wheels, split image kind of day. Until next time, be good.